And welcome into this edition of ACAP Today for the week of December 13th, 2021. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. On this week's edition, we're going to kick off, unofficially at least, ACAP's 50th anniversary celebration. ACAP turns 50 in 2022, and we're going to start our conversation this year visiting with 4 of our team members who have been with ACAP for 40 or more years. We're going to do that in just a little bit, but before we get to that, first, the news and information that you can use again for this week of December 13th, 2021. We begin with this. ACAP is resuming its STEP parenting classes, and STEP stands for Systematic Training for Effective Parenting, and it's a curriculum that is taught by Julia Masick, who's a licensed clinical social worker and leads ACAP's behavioral health programming in early care and education in particular. So she's going to work with parents in learning practical skills and information for supporting family communication and growth across a number of different areas. If you have an interest in the course, we certainly encourage you to reach out to us. You can contact Julia directly there. The phone number is on your screen, as is her email address. And we certainly encourage this class for any parents. It's a great class with 7 sessions that range between 60 and 90 minutes a week. And many people who have taken this class say it's a great course. So we encourage you to certainly learn more about it, if not enroll. And again, the information is there on your screen to do just that. We also want to share this piece of information with you. Our prevention team is working on an event for this Thursday, December 16th, that will be held between 6 and 7 p.m. And no need to worry about being safe in this event because it's held via Zoom, so you can do it from the comfort of your own home. It's a partnership between ACAP's Drug Free Aroostook program, Power Prevention, Communities Talk, and Students Against Drunk Driving. And this event is being held, again, as I said, via Zoom. It's called Making Spirits Bright, and it's a virtual mocktail party. They held one earlier this year with a fall theme, and this one has a holiday theme where you can learn about making holiday mocktails. Also information about alcohol facts, impaired driving, and also about local resources that are available to folks, all the while enjoying some holiday music that they'll have playing. So if you'd like to take part in Making Spirits Bright, register by contacting either of the 2 individuals noted there on your screen, and we encourage you to do that. They have a great hour-long session planned where you'll get some great tips on making some holiday mocktails for your coming holiday gatherings. We also do want to remind folks at this time where we're seeing a spike and the highest level of COVID-19 cases than we've seen throughout the pandemic here in Aroostook County and across the state of Maine about the importance of vaccination. If you have been vaccinated already but have not received your booster yet, we encourage you to do that and just remind you that vaccination is now available for anyone age 5 and older. If you are having difficulty finding a vaccination appointment and or cannot use the online site that we have here on our screen as a resource and have difficulty connecting for whatever reason, our ACAP reception team is standing by to help you register for an appointment. Give us a call at 764-3721. By means of a reminder, we also want to share with you that don't let transportation to and from the appointment be a barrier. If you need help with transportation, Department of Health and Human Services is offering a free optional ride for folks across the state of Maine, and they're asking that you give a 48-hour advance notice. You can call the number there on your screen, 1-855-608-5172, to let them know that you'd like a ride to your appointment. We are, speaking of COVID-19, ACAP is continuing to offer COVID-19 community supports. This helps with things like grocery and meal delivery. We can also deliver test kits to your home if you would like, and a variety of other services, again, listed there on your screen. This is to help individuals safely isolate and quarantine in their homes. So if you've had a diagnosis or a close contact and are in need of these services, please do reach out. You can do so directly through the DHHS website, which is there on your screen, or if you need help, you can give us a call directly at 764-3721, and we would be glad to help you register online remotely and get those services out to you. We offer these services countywide, and if you are in need of similar services for friends or relatives in other parts of the state, with their permission, you can also apply online for them on their behalf. And we have sister CAPs across the state of Maine that are doing these services in their areas that can help get the necessary services to people at their home safely. This is also, we're nearing about the midpoint of the open enrollment season for coverme.gov. ACAP does have an assister through the 2022 Affordable Health Coverage program here in Maine, which again has transitioned to coverme.gov. If you currently are part of the healthcare navigation marketplace and are considering maybe a better plan, we encourage you to visit this website and contact our assister, Andrea White here at ACAP, who can help you navigate that resource and look at different plan options for you and your family. This is a different, newer version of the site, moving off of the federal site into the state of Maine here. And many times the plans are actually better than they have been in the past. We certainly encourage anyone without health insurance and without coverage to contact us as well for this plan. In addition to being able to determine what plans you might be eligible for, this tool actually can also help determine eligibility potentially for Maine Care and get that enrollment started through this process as well. So it's definitely worth giving us a call and reaching out. We are also actively operating the Home Energy Assistance Program and helping more and more households as they find it difficult to heat their homes with the increased cost of heating oil fuel, in addition to the challenges faced by the pandemic for many households. If you or your family believe that you meet the income guidelines here or come close, maybe it's a little over, we encourage you to call us for an appointment. What's new this year is that we are also doing only 1 month look backs if your income has changed recently within the last month or two, it's worth giving us a call. You see the household size there on your screen and income levels for 1, 3, and 12 months. And we certainly encourage you to reach out to schedule a HEAP appointment for this season so that we can help you. Income guidelines have changed. They've been adjusted upwards, so you may not have qualified in the past and could this year, regardless of whether your household income has changed or not. And lastly, in this week's news and information you can use, if you are in need of any assistance that we haven't mentioned here or are just uncertain where to turn at this time, we encourage you to reach out to us to connect with our ACAP Navigator team. Those team of individuals are in place to help individuals, especially those who are not used to navigating the social services network, to be able to connect with programs both inside and outside of this agency. So please do feel free to use that as a resource at this time as needed. And with that, I'm so pleased to welcome to our program 4 individuals who have served ACAP for 40 or more years. So first of all, thank you so much. In the upper screen with me, as I'm seeing it, Mary Duff, who is a career counselor in the Southern Aroostook area for us. Mary, welcome to ACAP Today.
Thank you, Jason.
Randy Rattray is actually in his 41st year, about to head into his 42nd year with the agency. And Randy coordinates our energy and housing programs for us. Randy, welcome.
Thank you, Jason.
Sue Powers has been with the agency for marking 40 years this year. She's our Senior Director of Programs, overseeing a wide array of programs, especially in health and prevention, and also doing some great work statewide in the early care and education portfolio. Sue, welcome back.
Thank you, Jason. It's good to be here.
And joining us from the switchboard, where she is both welcoming visitors at 771 Main Street, right, actively doing her work there, is Pat Good, who, Pat, I believe you enter your 44th year of service to ACAP in 2022. Congratulations. What an accomplishment and milestone that is.
Thank you.
And Pat, by the way, is our longest serving employee here at the agency. And so Pat is celebrating 44 years in 2022, and ACAP is celebrating 50. So Pat, I'm going to begin with you if you're not in the middle of something at the moment, and sort of ask you to talk about what you've seen in those last 44 years. There's been a lot of change both in the agency and in Aroostook County, and I can't imagine in many ways how the work that you do today is even recognizable to the work that you were doing when you began 44 years ago.
Yes, it has changed a lot. We didn't have computers back then. And so we had to do everything by hand. And then in the 80s, we got the computers and things started changing a little bit. And yeah, everything's changed.
Mary Duff, transitioning over to you, technology has certainly changed, and even the programs and services that we offer have changed and sort of evolved over a period of time. But I think one thing has stayed the same, and I think the four of you are testament to that, and that's the caring staff that we have and the connections that we make and the help that we provide people in Aroostook County to be able to live productive lives and to be more healthy and stable than they came to us. Talk about that part of the work that you do and how that's evolved over the years working with people and supporting people.
I think it has changed tremendously over the years. I mean, I don't think we've ever lost track of what our mission is, always caring about people. We're delivering programs in a very progressive way now versus 40 years ago when we were actually going out to meet with people. And now we are still doing that, but in a much more protective way of ourselves and of our community. But I do believe that with technology, it has allowed me to connect with job seekers in Madawaska, Port Kent, Presque Isle, Caribou, and I'm doing that right from my office here in Holton, which it's allowed me to reach out and help others throughout the county, which I did not do before. In many ways, I think the technology itself has created certainly a way for us to serve our clients in a very effective way.
Indeed. Sue Powers, one of the things that's interesting to note is everybody across the state of Maine, certainly here in Aroostook County, recognizes you as a leader in early care and education, but you actually started in the agency doing something more like what Mary Duff is doing now. Isn't that correct?
I did. I started with ACAP while I was in college. I worked summers as a summer job coach, which I believe Mary did as
Yes.
well for a few summers. And then after graduating from college, I applied for a career developer job, and I sat directly across a desk from Mary. We had desks back to back, and we shared a phone and probably a lot of other things. But yeah, so I worked in employment and training for about 4 years. Working with customers across the county, mostly youth, locating them in job placements and helping them to get on career paths.
And Randy Rattray, your career trajectory has sort of grown with the agency itself and always been engaged in sort of helping people be safe and warm in their homes. Talk about what you've experienced in your almost 42 years now with the agency and how helping people in energy and housing has changed with you and with the agency.
I first started out in May of 1980 through a CETA grant, working on the weatherization crew. At that time, we basically our energy auditors or estimators, we called them back then, would go in the home and just make a guess of what we thought would help that customer as far as saving energy. Things now have changed, and we've come to the point where we have computer programs where we can go to the home and enter things into our computer systems, and it will tell us exactly what our savings will be for those measures, so that we know what we should do and what we shouldn't do. It's amazing that things have changed so much. I can remember going out to houses and doing inspections and taking photos with Polaroid Instamatic cameras. And now we have a cell phone that will pretty much do everything you need it to do. As far as you could do the energy audit on the cell phone if your eyes were young enough so that you could see it, which might not be the case for me anymore. But yeah, I can remember using typewriters and typing letters and using a piece of carbon paper so that we could have a copy of it in the file. All that stuff is done by computer now, and it's just amazing things that have changed. The number of people you can help now in a day compared to what you used to be able to do, just because of the technology. Communication with contractors and customers, clients. so many different ways to communicate now. You can communicate by text, by email, by phone. Everybody has a cell phone now, so you can catch them whenever. So yeah, it's changed a lot.
Yeah, there has been certainly a lot of change, technology driven and otherwise. What is it? Do you have, I know that you all have many fond memories, and now that Pat's, before I get into the sort of the fond memories, now that Pat's back in place, Pat, your trajectory has been a little bit different. You have been supporting programs across this agency in a variety of ways over your 44 years. Talk about the diversity of the work that you've done, because I mean, now you're supporting every program in this agency, but you have really changed as the agency has changed in your role and in what you support and do. Oops, I think you're muted, Pat.
I started out with family planning for 33 years, and then went on to WIC, and then went on to child and family, and now I'm with administration. So I have covered almost all the programs.
So let me start with you on that. What are some fond and warm memories of things that you've done here at ACAP, or ways that you've made a difference?
Well, for family planning, just knowing that it was very important to have breast exams and having your physicals, making sure that everybody had those and how important it was, and then going on to WIC and helping all the children, making sure that they got served, and child and family, doing their health and making sure that they were up to date on their shots and everything. And now with administration helping out all over. So
you've worked truly across the age spectrum, because you've worked with, newborn babies, even pregnant mothers, obviously.
yes,
But to now working in a location where you're greeting individuals, senior citizens who are coming in for fuel assistance or other services. So you've really worked across the lifespan with individuals.
from babies to the elderly. Yes.
Sue Powers, most of your career with ACAP has really been about serving families, especially families with young children. What's been most rewarding about that?
Well, when I first moved to what's now early care and education, it was called preschool services back then. And I think some of my fondest memories are as the social service coordinator, just working with families and knowing that what we were doing was making a difference for the family, bringing the child into a center and then being able to work with families to make sure that they had fuel assistance and food and clothing for their children, were all extremely rewarding experiences. I'm thinking that maybe my fondest or most special program and summers were spent with the migrant program, working with migrant farm workers who had come to Aroostook County to harvest broccoli crops and brought their children with them. And we actually became a delegate agency of East Coast Migrant Head Start, and then later joined partnership with the Maine Migrant Program through Department of Education to open the center in Caribou. And there we established Head Start, Early Head Start, our first experiences with Early Head Start, and offered from 6 a.m. to like 7 or 8 in the evening care to the children of migrant farm workers. That was an extremely rewarding time. Was an opportunity for the families of ACAP employees to mix and mingle on weekend gatherings with the migrant workers and their children. It just was an extremely wonderful cultural opportunity in Aroostook County, and one that I have very fond memories of, and fond memories of the families that continue to come back year after year. and watch those children grow. And in some cases, the children that we were serving, bringing their own children back towards the end of that experience. I think that probably is the fondest and most program that I think really made a huge difference in Aroostook County.
Yes, it's interesting that you note that, and I think that's a
I
perfect.
have someone here that said that we should go to Sister.
Well, you, Pat, there we go. That's actually a very good segue actually into the work that you do, Mary, because oftentimes the work that your team and Sue's team have done over the years has been very complementary, because individuals, young families in particular, who need to go to work rely on the services of ACAP's early care and education programs to receive quality education service, and individuals who were here to do migrant work, seasonal work, were among those. Talk about it from the other perspective of things, and the adults and the young adults that you've worked with over the years to help gain employment. You as well, I mean, must have seen and witnessed many opportunities where you were really setting somebody on a new course in life, and they were realizing things and achieving things that maybe they didn't think possible before.
I think they very much cross over, because you're actually watching individuals who are extremely apprehensive. I mean, we are, in many instances, we've often talked among ourselves as counselors, we're the last people anyone wants to talk to when they're unemployed, or when you're out doing a group session with 30 or more dislocated workers who are going to be losing their jobs. So I think the most rewarding part of that is when you meet with someone individually, and the apprehension begins to fade, and they begin to see the reality and the possibilities of moving forward and achieving some goals that maybe they have, and helping them look at what those goals might be. And the biggest reward over the years, I would have to say, is when I meet people later in life who come up to me and say, "Do you remember me?" And, of course I do. And they share with me what they've done, what they've been doing, their families. They've maybe continued on with their nursing degree that ACAP, the funding has helped them, gone on to get a bachelor's degree in nursing, some master's degrees, and the like. That's the most, I think, rewarding part of what I have done over the years, is to see them blossom and come in with their college degree and say, "Here, I finally got it. Here's my degree." So.
Yes, and Randy Rattray, although that your work may seem very different from that, I think the common thread that ties it all together is the fact that that difference made, and the work that you go into people's homes, and you and your team literally do in people's homes, does make an extraordinary difference. And I know that you have had clients that have sent cards, sent well wishes, pizza even, to say thank you for what you and your team have done in their home. So those moments, I'm imagining, are very rewarding for you and your team.
They are, Jason. I've spent my whole career here at ACAP basically making homes safe or affordable to heat. And it's been wonderful. I've done everything from just taking care of a simple no heat situation for somebody to replacing a whole house for somebody. Yeah, and it doesn't really matter how small the job is or how large the job is. You still get the same thank you, and I still get the same personal gratification of doing that work for the county, people of the Aroostook County. It's been an amazing career for me, and I've loved every minute of it. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Well, it's not over by any means, Randy. We're so pleased that you're leading our team into the future, our 50th anniversary year. I think it's important to note, and Sue, I'm going to ask for you to speak to this just a little bit, that there is a fifth member to this elite group of ACAP's 40 plus year tenured employees, and that's Linda Sloan-White in Dyer Brook. And I'm going to bring a picture up from a celebration that we held recently in Dyer Brook, actually in the space right near where Linda Sloan-White works on each day. And I think maybe the best way to represent Linda is to talk about another one of a career milestone that the two of you shared, which is that wonderful partnership program that we have with the school district, and how that's blossomed into other partnerships, not only with ACAP, but other organizations across the state. So talk about a little bit about Linda's work and about that pioneering work in developing and forging partnerships.
So Linda and I, of course, share a higher year with ACAP. However, Linda came directly into early care and education and has held several roles in Dyer Brook. The Dyer Brook Center was originally in the town office at Dyer Brook in a back, the back half or side half of that building. And it was a fun and homey, just cozy center program. Linda has been a family service worker there, a teacher, and ed tech. I almost think she drove the van at one time. She has a lovely story of how she opened the back door of the center one day and there was a black bear waiting for her on the back step. Just a wonderful career in that small community. And I kind of have lost track of time, but I'm going to say about 15 years ago, we joined a partnership with RSU 50 and developed the first in Aroostook County and one of the current state elite Head Start preschool partnership programs with RSU 50, where we employ ACAP staff within the school department and deliver the preschool program completely in partnership there. And it's a wonderful community partnership. As I said, it's highly recognized by the state of Maine as a successful and with successful outcomes for children preschool program. And from that partnership, we have developed several other partnerships within Aroostook County and continue to do that partnership work with public schools. Currently, we partner with SAD1 and with the CTE program in Holton and at SAD1. And those partnerships just are a wonderful way to join resources, to expand resources, to be able to serve more children by blending and braiding funding both from public school and from Head Start together to bring those quality services to children in Aroostook County.
Indeed, and if folks are wondering, Linda Sloan-White is the individual holding the flowers in the photo that we have up right now. The school district there who joined us in the celebration of our 440 in with Randy 41 year honorees, and Pat Good came down and joined us there at that celebration. Wanted to also recognize Linda, and so they got her those flowers on the honor of this occasion. And so it was a great day, and it was great to have the five of you together representing such a rich history of this organization and such great stories and so many years of service amongst you and difference made with the people of Aroostook County. Before I want to ask you a quick question about the future, which would be our last question, I want to ask you one question about the present, because your 4 decades or right around your 4 decades have been marked by probably the most critical moment in the entire history of your tenures with the agency, and that's our community service during the pandemic. And so much has changed for all of us. But you've all had to lead and to manage that change. And Pat, I'm going to start with you because you're right at the front door right now. And every once in a while, we sort of hear that buzzer, and that's because our facilities are sort of in a position where we have people come to our doors and we ensure that there are health and safety protocols in the way. But did you ever sort of in your 40 plus years of service to the agency, imagine that we would be experiencing a time like this, and how are you managing through a time like this? Because it's difficult for us all, but we're you in particular, the four of you in particular, are helping our community get through this. So what are your thoughts about this very unusual period of time?
It certainly is different, but you have to go with the flow and do the best you can. And you have to think about all of the community members and all the folks that's coming in. Those are priority, and you just do your job because you love it and go from there.
That certainly is true, Pat, and I know that that's been true, Mary, with you and our team in Holton. You know, people have just stepped up to the occasion and done everything that they could in these difficult times. I know that you work with Holton's a unique facility because all of our services, for the most part, although Randy's housing services aren't directly there, people can connect to them. We have prevention people, you have educators down there with you, we have workforce development, which you are, we have a home energy assistance program and coaches. What's it been like serving the Southern Aroostook community during this most unusual time?
And saying unusual it's nothing like I dare say any of us have ever seen before. And we're truly seeing people stopping by our office who are in need. They're in need of a multitude of services and programs in order to make their lives just a little bit more comfortable during this time. I think the great thing about the services that we provide here and throughout the agency, I would have to say, is we're trying to work as part of a team. Trying to, answer calls that come in, help in any way that we can, and trying to serve individuals in our community and outside of our community, actually, we're getting calls. So, trying to do that and deliver our services in the safest way that we can to meet their needs.
Randy, Rattray, in the early days of the pandemic, where we were not allowing our staff to go into people's homes, your teams, the nature of your team's work changed immediately overnight, and it obviously is still something that your team is very concerned about in terms of protocols as you do head into people's homes and the like. What has this period of time been like for you and your team, and how is everyone faring?
It's been very different, Jason. In the beginning of the pandemic, we asked our employees to do stuff that they've never done before. We basically took them out of people's homes, brought them back into the office, and we started doing a rent relief program for people who were affected by the COVID pandemic. We did that for a couple of months until we were able to get back till we were able to set up protocols and be able to get back into people's homes. And we've moved the rent relief program to our navigators now. And yeah, it's been hard because we've had so many people affected by COVID in one way or another, whether it's employees missing time from work. That entails us asking employees to do more than they would have expected for that day. But we haven't had any complaints, and our employees are awesome. They've picked up the slack wherever they can. But it's been difficult, and it continues to be that way. Our HEAP program, we have scheduled appointments throughout the season. And if you have somebody call out or have a contact with somebody with COVID, you've got 11 appointments already scheduled that you've got to try to fill with another employee to take care of. So it's things like that come up that make your day a little bit interesting, but we've been getting through it so far. So everything's good so far.
And Sue Powers, you've helped lead this organization through many times. You talked about the period of time where you brought up a migrant program and ran that for a number of years, but you've also seen this community through as every member of this team has on the screen, through the closure of Loring Air Force Base and the economic challenges that resulted from that, the 2008 housing crash, which and economic impact after that, which saw ACAP swell in some services and programs for a period of time, but nothing quite like this, right?
Yes, that's right. I think that this has been, as everyone has already said, probably the most challenging time that we've seen. And I feel that it's part of it is the unknown. We entered March of 2020 not having a clue as to what was coming at us. We did what we were told was the right thing to do. And that was, I think, our main goal right then was to keep staff and customers safe and do what we felt was the best option at keeping customers and staff safe. And then as we learned along the way and set up those protocols and were able to get back to some sort of service operation, we did that in a way that kept everyone as safe as we possibly could. But what I think has struck me the most is our staff wanting to provide those services. So even in those early months when we didn't really know what we were facing, we had our WIC program offering WIC services through the windows, gloved, masked, with plexiglass, but offering those services through the windows because they didn't want families and children to go without their food vouchers. And how do we get those to children and families in the safest way? We had bus drivers and teachers and ed techs loading up cars and school buses full of food every day and delivering meals to families, dropping them on doorsteps. Families would put coolers out in some cases and we would load up the coolers, but making sure that everyone had what they needed. And then we had staff at each location, at every ACAP office, calling our customers, checking in, making sure that people were safe. What do you need? And it didn't matter what program you were enrolled in. It didn't matter what services you were receiving at the beginning of the pandemic. Whatever you needed, those items we tried our very best to make sure that families in Aroostook County had what they needed in order to get through those really, really difficult months. And then as we started coming out of those really awful months, we started seeing staff want more contact with people. So we saw childcare classrooms opening back up. We saw prevention, the prevention team starting to offer community events again, all in a very different way, all masked, gloved, lots of hand sanitizer around, socially distanced, but really trying to make contact with people and having a more hands-off, hands-on approach to being face-to-face with people, because that is how we all know that we make connections, build relationships, and really support people. So the staff of this agency have been amazing and have done tremendous work. And no matter how many times we say that, there's no real way to repay them for the time and the effort that they've put into delivering services and making sure that people of Aroostook County have what they need.
That's so very true, Sue, and I think everyone in this Zoom agrees, and certainly has felt that over the last almost 2 years now. One thing that you did note, and I sort of want to use it as the springboard for the last question that I want to hear from all of you on, and I'll start with you, Pat, is, Sue mentioned at the beginning that when we went into this in March of 2020, no one knew what things were going to be like. And there was a level of uncertainty from one day to the next. And to an extent, we're still living in that world of uncertainty from one day to the next. But I want to get your thoughts in this period of time and looking out toward the future as we look to ACAP's next 50 years. What's your outlook? Pat, let me begin with you. What is your outlook for the future of this agency, for the future of our community and our connection to it?
I think just keep going and doing what we're doing, because we do an excellent job, and the clients and everyone is priority, and we work with a great team, and we're gonna do the best we can.
Wise words from Pat. Good there. Mary Duff, what's your outlook for the future?
Well, I guess I would think that moving forward over the next 50 years, to look at carrying on the legacy of the first 50, and remembering what and how we served people, and particularly with if you keep I think the pandemic is the most memorable part of anyone's history. It is mine now. And in my work life, we've seen difficult times, each of us in our work lives, with recessions and stepping up the need. But I think if we can do what we do now in a pandemic, I think the next 50 years hopefully will be a piece of cake.
Yes, indeed. Randy, Rattray, you share that perspective?
I do, Jason. I think we've learned a lot about ourselves, and ACAP as a whole during this pandemic. We've learned to change on the fly, pretty much. We've added quite a few programs because of the pandemic. We've done a very good job and have been recognized statewide by those programs. So I see the agency growing over the next 50 years and doing great work as we've done the previous 50 years.
And Sue Powers, the last word on your outlook toward the future is yours.
Well, we have built a culture in this agency of working together, of working as a team, and of an expectation of doing whatever we need to do and figuring out how to do whatever we need to do to meet the needs of people in the county. So I don't see that changing at all. I think that is just going to grow and get bigger. Even before the pandemic, Aroostook County was known for figuring out how to make things work and working together. I know I've said in many groups, we live in Aroostook County, we have to figure out how to work together, how to make things happen by partnering. And we have learned that we have even a deeper understanding of that now. You have to work together. You have to bring in those people that have thoughts, like ideas, like needs, and figure out how you can do things in partnership. And we have started some great partnerships through COVID, and we've started some even more amazing conversations that I don't think we even expected to ever have, but they now have started, and I think we're going to see some great work come from those. So partnership, I think, is probably what I see as growing over the next 50 years and really being the way of doing our work.
Yeah, I think Sue, that captured it very well. And I think what you noted in there is that the time that we've spent over the last couple of years as wonderful a job as the team has done responding to the pandemic, it has certainly not been limited to that. There's been a resiliency, a hope, and a forward-moving progress in that other work has happened, really innovative, partnership-driven, and forward-facing work has been accomplished as well, as the huge body of work in responding and helping our community respond to the pandemic. So Pat Good, Mary Duff, Randy Rattray, Sue Powers, thank you so much for joining me, and most importantly, thank you for all you have done for 40 or more years. Serving this agency, but most importantly, the people of Aroostook County. And in all of your service, I think that you've certainly touched people beyond just the boundaries of Aroostook County, because those people have moved elsewhere or have positively impacted others in their lives that have been beyond the borders of this county. And your work is well known beyond the borders of this county. So thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, I think it's the perfect segue to invite anyone who's interested in being a part of that team. Whether you want to spend 4 years or 40 years with us, we would certainly welcome you joining our team. We have several positions open across Aroostook County, including in the areas of service that the team members who joined us to discuss today are directly engaged in. So if you have what it takes and have the desire and drive, which is a big part of the work to do it, we encourage you to check out these positions on our website or through our social media presence and send us an application. We'd love to have you join the ACAP team. There's a list of benefits available there on your screen, and we'd look forward to hearing from you. And with that, as we do each week on ACAP Today, and this is no exception, we end with our snapshot, or in this case, snapshots of the week. And this is a heartfelt thank you during this season of giving and thanks for a trailer full of treasures that we received again from Maine Needs just this past week. This is, I believe, the third or fourth time that the Maine Needs organization that serves people statewide has delivered to ACAP. This tractor trailer load is being given out to families and to individuals who are in need. In this holiday season, it included toys, books, clothing, cleaning products, and other basic household items that will all be put to very good use by Aroostook County households. And so our thanks and our hats go off to Maine Needs, the subject of our snapshots of the week this week. And with that, thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this 50th anniversary walk down memory lane and discussion even about the future with 4 of our 5 40-year-plus veteran employees. We look forward to bringing you more programs in the coming year that celebrate ACAP's 50th anniversary and provide you with the news and information that you can use to help make life better here in Aroostook County. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next time.